TV things, and then how he was invited to Elijah Muhammad's house in South Chicago, and then how when he came in, he found him to be a completely charming person, and he unifies this story, even though it's very sort of, fly with your seat of the pants kind of a book here, just whatever's coming to his head he's writing. And he compares it to when he was a little boy and met the preacher woman who basically turned him into a really interesting person. And he saw that on page 64. What he saw in Malcolm X, Elijah's face, was this feeling that, lift the burdens off my shoulder, take your burdens, Lord, and leave them there. The central quality of Elijah's face is pain. His smile is a witness to pain so old and deep and black that it becomes personal. And he turned to me with a smile, saying something like, I've got a lot to say to you, but we'll wait till we sit down. So he actually likes Elijah, doesn't he? And I don't get the impression that he liked Malcolm at all, but he doesn't really dwell much on Malcolm. And, they have made Malcolm into a big hero for everybody, and he may be heroic. I mean, I'm not saying he isn't, but here's a person who's fairly sensitive. Maybe he just likes Elijah because he's such a delicate fellow. And as you see, he is a very, gentle, sort of, very quite civilized sort of individual, regardless of his perceived behavior. I mean, liking women among men is not an odd phenomenon. If that were an odd phenomenon, there wouldn't be any humans left in this universe. So I don't think that's such a strange behavior pattern. Maybe taking advantage of your power is not an admirable thing, but a lot of people take advantage of their power. In any event, that may have been a weakness, as old as the Garden of Eden, shall we say. But aside from that, he's a very well-mannered, self-effacing, very cultured person, it seems. And I think perhaps meeting Malcolm X would be a more aggressive kind of person, a much more tough, someone who'd been on the streets and knew the way of the streets and survived these streets and survived prison. So, regardless of the fact that Malcolm has eclipsed Elijah, I think in this book, Elijah eclipses Malcolm. Now, none of us probably even know what Elijah Muhammad represented, but I think he actually represented a combination of Christianity and Islam. I don't think it was pure Islam, and it wasn't certainly pure Christianity. Trying to amalgamate different religions, if you like, into a cult type situation. I recently was invited to hear the Reverend Moon by someone who was a follower of Reverend Moon. And I went up to Los Angeles. I didn't really want to go. I didn't have the time, but this person dragged me up there, and so I ultimately had to go. I couldn't be totally rude and, to this person who was a distant family member of mine, related to me. This person was groping. And I have to say, I was quite impressed by Reverend Moon in terms of the chemistry he had with his followers. There was just a mob of different people there, of all different races and backgrounds, and when Reverend Moon came in and started talking, they were totally in his thrall. So these people do have a magnetic attraction. What he was talking about was fairly harmless stuff. He basically was talking about he wanted to marry everybody and mix all of the races and stuff. But he basically wanted people to take care of their families, have children, be good fathers and mothers once he'd married them, be faithful and so on. And that was what his lecture was about, yeah.
That's Reverend Sung Moon?
Yeah, that's who it is. Does it matter what his first name is?
Just wondering if that's who you're talking
Are
about.
there more than one Reverend Moons around? I didn't know, yeah. He isn't, he's his own denomination, he's a Mooney. But the reason I bring him up, because I think he's very similar to Elijah Muhammad in many ways, in terms of what his effect on his following is, what that would have been then. And also, the things that he's seemed to be encouraging in this crowd of people was the same kind of family values and so on, only he wants to mix all of the races together in a final melting pot thing, which is why he marries everyone, different races and things, to get them all mixing up, and so on and so forth. So I mean, I'm not